Chapter 1. The House on Withering Hill. Ellie Harper had never seen a house so determined to be forgotten. Perched on the crest of Withering Hill, the manor stood like a relic from a ghost story, tall, gray, and cloaked in ivy that strangled its crumbling stone walls. The windows stared blankly over the moor, as if too tired to remember what they once saw. Even the wind seemed to whisper around it with careful detachment, unwilling to linger. Ellie stepped out of the car, her boots crunching on the gravel driveway. Her mother, Karen, gave a long sigh as she killed the engine and stared up at the house.
"This is it," she said quietly. "Your Aunt Lenora's house."
Ellie tilted her head. She lived here? Alone? Apparently, though no one in the family had heard from her in years. She just disappeared. The silence that followed was broken only by the distant caw of a crow. Ellie glanced at the wrought iron gates, which groaned softly in the breeze. "It looks haunted." Her mother gave a short laugh. "Well, lucky for us, ghosts don't pay taxes. The place is yours now. She left it to you in the will." Ellie turned toward the house again, trying to imagine someone choosing to live here. Everything about it felt wrong, the kind of wrong that made your skin prickle. But her mother's expression had already shut down, the way it always did when grief crept in. Karen pulled a ring of old keys from her purse and handed them over. "Do you want to unlock it?" Ellie hesitated, then took the keys. The largest one, brass, ornate, and ice-cold to the touch, fit perfectly into the front door's lock. With a deep clunk, the door groaned open. Inside, the air smelled of dust, paper, and something metallic. Blood? No, rust. Hopefully rust. "Charming," Ellie muttered. They stepped into a grand foyer with a sweeping staircase and stained glass windows that filtered the afternoon sun into strange colors. A portrait hung crooked above the fireplace, depicting a woman with sharp cheekbones, dark eyes, and a haunted expression. Ellie recognized her immediately. The infamous Aunt Lenora. "Creepy," Ellie said. "She was brilliant," Karen replied. "Strange, yes, but brilliant." Ellie wanted to ask why no one had seen her in years, but something about the house made questions feel like they echoed too long. After unpacking some basics from the car, Ellie wandered up the staircase, following the creak of each ancient step. The hall above branched into shadowy corridors. Dust danced in the slanting light. Most doors were locked, except one. It was at the far end, half open. Inside, the bedroom was surprisingly neat. A writing desk stood near the window, and atop it lay a thick, leather-bound journal. Ellie stepped closer. It had her name on it. Her breath caught. She picked it up. The leather was warm, as if recently touched. She opened it. Inside, in delicate handwriting, were the words, "To Ellie. If you're reading this, it means the mirrors have found you. Be careful where you look. Not every reflection is your own." The air grew colder. Behind her, something moved. A flicker in the mirror above the vanity. Ellie turned slowly. Her reflection smiled. She didn't. Chapter 2. The Mirror's Whisper. Ellie didn't move. Her reflection, the one smiling back at her, stood perfectly still, lips curled ever so slightly. The smile wasn't friendly. It was knowing. Then, in the blink of an eye, the reflection returned to normal. No smile, no movement. Just Ellie, pale and wide-eyed. She stepped back. Her foot hit the leg of the bed behind her, and she caught herself with a sharp intake of breath.
"Okay,"
she whispered.
"Okay, that was stress, lack of sleep, dust inhalation, totally normal."
But her heart wouldn't stop racing. The mirror stood tall on its oak frame, polished to an unnatural shine despite the dust everywhere else. Ellie reached out a tentative hand and touched the glass. Cold. Still. just a mirror. She turned away, gripping the leather journal tightly, and headed back downstairs. Her mother was in the kitchen attempting to coax the old stove to life. "Find anything interesting?" Karen asked without looking up. Ellie hesitated. "There was a book with my name on it." That made her mother glance up. "Really? What kind of book?" "Like a journal." Ellie paused. "From Aunt Lenora." Karen wiped her hands on a tea towel. "She was always a bit unconventional. Probably wrote some letters to you when she was sick. Or maybe it's just coincidence." "Maybe," Ellie said, though she didn't believe it. She opened the journal again. The first few pages were filled with entries, written in a swirling, neat script. "The mirrors have begun to thin. I've seen them watching, not just reflections, but echoes. The house is a gate, Ellie. You must listen. Not all who look are harmless, and they remember. They want out." Ellie flipped the page. A small hand-drawn map was sketched in ink, a layout of the house. Several mirrors were circled in red. One was marked, "Do not use." It was in the attic. She looked up instinctively. The ceiling loomed above, and from somewhere, faintly, came the sound of creaking floorboards. "Mom, did you go into the attic?" Karen raised an eyebrow. "Number, I haven't even found the attic stairs." Ellie swallowed. "I think someone's up there." Her mother froze, then shook her head. "It's an old house. Wood shifts, pipes settle. Don't let your imagination run wild on the first day." But Ellie was already walking toward the grand staircase again, clutching the journal like a shield. Her feet moved on their own, driven by curiosity and a strange pull she couldn't explain. At the top of the stairs, she turned left into the narrow corridor. The light bulb above flickered. At the end was a wooden ladder, pulled down from a square hole in the ceiling. It hadn't been there earlier. Ellie stared up. "Nope," she said softly to herself. "This is the part in the horror movie where the girl makes the dumb decision." And then she climbed. The attic was freezing. Dust curled through the shafts of light pouring from the boarded windows. Old furniture loomed under white sheets. Cobwebs hung like veils. But it was the mirror she noticed first. It stood at the far wall, taller than she was, rimmed in black iron. A tarp had been thrown over it, but even covered, it hummed. Not literally, but Ellie could feel it, like a vibration in her bones. She stepped closer. The journal's warning echoed in her mind. "Do not use." Ellie reached out and pulled the tarp free. The mirror was empty. Not blank. It reflected the attic just as it should, but Ellie wasn't in it. She blinked. Still not there. And then something stepped into view. In the mirror. A girl. Her age. Her face. But her eyes were wrong. Pitch black, like bottomless ink. Her mouth moved, but no sound came. Then softly, Ellie heard a voice. Not in her ears, but in her head. "You're the last. The gate is opening. We remember you." Ellie staggered back, heart pounding. The attic tilted. She ran. Down the ladder, through the hall, into her room. She slammed the door and shoved a chair against it just in case. Panting, she flipped to the next page of the journal. This time the words were fresh, wet, as if just written. "They know you're here. You opened the way.